I'm Irene Natividad. I'm president of the Global Summit of Women that's taking place here in Berlin. Welcome to the ministers and government officials who are here and members of the media. I am proud to announce that today this summit is opening here in Berlin with 1,000 participants from 60 countries. Really 60 countries, not fake, real. And the last registration came yesterday from Saudi Arabia. So it is truly global. Thank you. And as before, we are here to share what works in advancing women's economic equality. For 35 years, and yes, we are celebrating our 35th anniversary here in Berlin. That has been our mission. And at this ministerial roundtable, we will hear about what are some of those steps. So I keep being asked by members of the press, why did you pick Germany? And the reason is simple. 40% of the current cabinet is female, and we have one of them here today, Minister Karen Prehn, from whom you will hear later, who has a big portfolio. Includes education, youth, seniors, and women, and what else did I miss? Family, a big portfolio, which of course all of those areas are those of most concern to women overall, so they all fit together. So the cabinet has a good number of women, but also what some of you may not know, Germany has a quota for women on corporate boards so that its blue chip companies average 40% women on boards. It's one of the highest in Europe. The other, and equally important, it has a quota for women in senior management, and Germany was the first one worldwide to enact that law. Why is that important? Because you need a pipeline for future, to develop the pipeline for future members of boards as well as CEOs. Germany also has a pay equity oversight law in which annually companies have to report their journey on pay equity. It has great parental leave policies, and in general has a lot of laws that we can all learn from. I have to tell you, from the vantage point of the United States, we have none of those laws. And so it is really remarkable to be in a country where there are set state laws that enable women to grow, not just to be part of the society as bearers of children, but also to participate in every facet of life. So does that mean that Germany has totally conquered the whole issue of equality for women? No, no country has. And I'm sure Minister Prehn would agree with me. But we can learn from what works from each other today, as well as Germany can learn from those that it hears not only at this round table, but all throughout this 3-day summit. We have to create that level playing field for women and recommit ourselves to it because we have not globally reached that equity that we all dream of. So yesterday, we launched this Business Economic Forum for Women by releasing a report on where women are in the corporate leadership of the 500 largest companies in the world, the Fortune Global 500. And what did we find? Well, 30%, almost 30%, of board seats are now held by women globally in those largest companies. And in 2004, it was only 10.4%. So that's a threefold increase. And that is indeed significant progress that we should applaud. Unfortunately, on the senior management side, the the news is not so great. Only 21% of senior executives in these major companies are women. And it gets even worse when you look at CEOs of those companies, only 0.6%. So clearly, that glass ceiling remains in place, but there has been an upward tick on the area of women in corporate governance. But you know, I always say, let us not mistake progress for success. We are nowhere near it. And so we need to keep going and keep fighting. But what the report did show is that the numbers for women's leadership goes upwards only when there is deliberate effort and exact initiatives to increase those numbers. In other words, women's rise to leadership is not natural, given the challenges we face. We have to be intentional in terms of creating change for women, especially in leadership positions. And without it, without accountability, without metrics, it doesn't happen. So at this ministerial roundtable, hopefully we will see what other strategies may work. But one of the things we did discover, quotas work, targets work, shareholder pressure works. What doesn't work is inertia. We have to be able to put laws in place. There's something to be said by legal mandates in order to make change happen. There's also another area of growth outside of corporate leadership that I want to share with you, and that is women's entrepreneurship globally, which is now at 30%. And you say, well, yeah, okay, so what? Well, small business is the backbone of every economy in the world, and women somehow are able to integrate themselves into creating small businesses without collateral, without sufficient funding, without know-how, without even mentors, let alone the support of family and friends. Now, in the US, 40% of SMEs, small and medium enterprises, are owned by women. And they employ 11 million people. And they generate $3.3 trillion worth of revenues yearly. That's not chopped liver. That's really very, very important. And I mention this to underscore that we have to count, number one, this is the argument for sex disaggregated data. What businesses are created by women? What are those created by men? And we have to measure. Until the Center for Women's Business Research, an NGO, came up with numbers like that 20 years ago, nobody paid attention. And then all of a sudden, when you bring the numbers, the banks were listening. Small Business Administration all of a sudden is listening. So what we do, when I told you about the report we just issued, is we use data for advocacy, because that is how government and business function. And if you have enough supporting data, or the lack, it also shows the lack of where we should be, then our arguments become even stronger. So a major goal of ours has also been, of the summit this past 3.5 decades, is to introduce the global market to women. Because there are studies that show that small businesses, women-owned small businesses, grow 6 times faster if they do business outside their border, because domestic markets will remain small. And so I am happy to announce that at this summit, there is B2B, business-to-business, sessions being conducted between Cambodian women entrepreneurs, 30 of whom have been brought by the Minister of Women from Cambodia, who you'll meet later. Her plane is landing late, as we speak, and they are doing B2B with German women entrepreneurs through Encourage Ventures, which is a women-owned venture fund. And at the same time, The 65-member Vietnamese delegation, led by their vice president, is doing a B2B with Kazakh, the 50-member Kazakhstan delegation. See, this is exactly what we wanted the summit to be able to do, to create a platform that enables women to be active participants in the global market through the women whom they meet, through the information, the practical information that we provide. This is how you make global market, which everyone talks about, real. We women don't have access to it normally, okay? So what we try to do is to do precisely that. After this roundtable, there will be a session called Doing Business with Germany. And it's being led by someone from the Ministry for the Economy, as well as the president of German Industries, the Confederation of German Industries. Because what we want to convey is that Berlin and Germany as a whole is a very active international market that our women should know more about. Only that way can we somehow be able to open the doors to other alliances that can yield economic benefits. But knowing about the global market and having the hundreds of women in business, whether corporate or entrepreneurial, who are here today, grow, we need to be updated on the rapidly developing technologies that are already permeating our lives, our professional and personal lives. So that is why at this summit, we have integrated AI and other technologies from the opening plenary tomorrow to the close of it, from looking at intellectual property and AI and how we can protect that, to what is leadership development in the era of AI. This is so important. There was a recent New York Times article that concerned me, and they quoted CEOs of AI companies who said there will be job losses, that is the future. The combination of AI and robotics will replace jobs. And the jobs that will go first are data-driven administrative jobs, and guess who handles that? Women. And so we have to inform women, they have to know about AI, they have to use AI, otherwise we are going to be left behind. The other challenge outside of technology that we are all facing, and the minister from Lithuania pointed it out to me earlier, is the changing cultural and political climate in which all of us have to operate, that makes this quest for equity an uphill climb going forward. There is a reality of a rightward direction in many countries, including mine, and that comes with a much more muscular sense of leadership and authority. And it is something we should not only pay attention to, we have to create strategies on how to operate in that environment. There's also, unsurprisingly, at the same time as this rightward movement, a natalist movement. Do you know what that is? I found it out only in the New York Times. It is to have more children. And Elon Musk said it concisely. He said the human race is headed towards extinction, so we need more babies. And you know what that means, right? In terms of women. That is why he has 14 children out of 3 women. It's not laughable, because really, when you look at it, Germany and Europe as a whole has 0 population growth. Japan is the same, South Korea is the same, increasingly China, and yes, even the United States. And so for these economies, for these industrialized economies to grow, they really have to integrate women much more fully into their economies, the talent and expertise of half of the population. This is what's often referred to as the business case, the business rationale for why women should be economically empowered. And it's something that all of us in this room should repeat over and over. The question for women's economic equality is not a question of social justice. It is a question of economic growth for every economy in the world. I mean, it's really so clear and very simple. Two earners make more money than one. So there are hundreds of studies from Goldman Sachs to IMF to the World Bank to UN Women that show that more women in the economy means GDP rises, a company's productivity rises, a family's income rises, and also the community of which it is a part. So not to include women at the economy at all levels, not just at the bottom, not just as workers, but also as managers and senior officers. Not to do that is like running a race with one leg. It is stupid and so clear, and it seems so simple. So why is that reality not accepted? And you know better than anyone. It is cultural biases that are still there, that we have to work against, biases about what women are able and capable to do. But you know what always gives me hope? The very women who come to this summit to present, to attend, and to hear, we have a youth forum, and they give me hope. They do businesses, they have created businesses that that just amaze me. They are the next generation. They will create enterprises that most of us never dreamed about, and I'm happy because they have to replace us. We have to equip that next generation and to grow that expertise so that there's impact on the generations of girls and women to come. At the summit, we have to, looking backwards, to praise the groundbreakers who will make it possible for more youth forums to be filled. And so at this summit, we're proud to announce that we are giving the Global Women's Leadership Award to Christine Lagarde, who will be here tomorrow evening. I have known her since she was chairman of Baker McKenzie, the largest law firm in the world, then running into each other when she was head of IMF in Washington, D.C., where I live. And so excited when she was named president of the European Central Bank. She is a woman of firsts. But more than that, no matter what hat she wore, what leadership hat she wore, she always talked about women as an economic necessity for every economy. She says it over and over. And from her vantage point, her position, that is really important. The German Women's Leadership Award will go to Monika Schulz-Strello. She's the founder of an organization called FIDAR. It was the organization that pushed successfully for a quota for women on boards, and they monitored that progress by research yearly on how far the German companies are going. So she will be saluted as well tomorrow evening. So we are finally going to open this summit with this ministerial. And I have to tell you, I am so excited to hear from everyone in this room because you are the ones with the portfolios that can create profound change for women. Somebody asked me once, why do you have a ministerial and a business economic forum where women? And I said, because one minister who passes a law that opens the door for women entrepreneurs, for women in corporate leadership, for women to be integrated in the economy is very important. So I said, there should be no lines between politics and business. We must support the women who hold those positions. And that is important for them to know, because there's this line, oh, I'm not involved in politics. Well, at least I hope you vote. There should not be such a line. And those of you in government should appreciate what it takes for a woman to plow through the corporate leadership or the efforts to try to get a loan even for a small business, tiny, tiny businesses. So we try to cross over those lines. We will create change. You all have already created change, those of you in this room, but we cannot do it alone. More than at any other time, we women have to be together, because only together can we make change happen while the men are dividing up the world. Okay? So thank you for being here today. Let me now introduce the minister, Karen Priyan, whom I mentioned previously, so please give her a very warm welcome.